So far as I understand, the following was written on October 2nd of 2018. I had it in handwritten, but I'm pretty sure that I also typed it up. I wrote an extensive analysis of my understanding of how and why Justice Scalia was murdered. Where is it? And where are all my notes on Kennedy's confirmation? I didn't get to investigate other justices. To surmise, Scalia's dissenting opinion in Maryland versus King challenges the court because A, he directly questions the justification of the majority opinion in asserting that it was determining a precedent and that it did not speak directly to the issue to which it was claiming it spoke on, and B, he cautioned against such a precedent considering how the case would lay a foundation for later cases, evaluating questions of the use of technologies in evidence gathering and engaging with DNA. It was as if he understood that via the justification that Kennedy offered, there was a precedent being set for the use of derivatives in explications of case rulings, and that whether conscious or not of the later implications, is set a negative precedent for later evaluations in the development of the use of DNA evidence. I do not know if Scalia was consciously aware of the quantum implications of the means by which the majority justices were attempting to justify their decision. But even if it was unconscious, it was very apparent that Scalia was entirely against the precedent being set, that it demanded and required a stern critique of his colleagues for pursuing that path, and that he was preparing, if necessary, to present a severe dissenting opinion in the event that there would be future challenges to the precedent set so as to be able to engage it when the time came. I did not assert that the third point was his intent, but I did assert that with what was being set to unfold in the U.S. in terms of the perpetuation of the means by which DNA was intended to be manipulated and electronic commerce was set to be engaged, that those who wished to see it promulgated knew that Scalia would not only present a serious opposition, but that his clout and cogency in arguing in his dissent would be able to provide a basis upon which to support others so that so objected when such challenges came forward. By the way, there's a note I make about what was going on at the time. By the way, there seems to be a problem loading the document about Scalia's confirmation. I believe the Justinian Society would agree. So why is both my writings and the rest of the confirmation info that included the letters of reference during his confirmation missing? He was political opposition, and I believe he was selected to be a payoff as part of a long-term scam that involved the murders of lawyers in other countries. A U.S. Supreme Court justice was a big payoff for someone who had a life insurance policy out on him. There was presumably no autopsy, but what happened to his biological data? The timing of his murder in Texas also set up or was set within a timeline of other events that is still ongoing. I already know that Texas law enforcement, as of November of 2016, had the technological know-how to remotely detonate a heart attack, especially if someone was sleeping. I witnessed personally how in April of 2017, I and at least 12 other women were telemedicated into being too tired to stay awake while we were in a homeless shelter in downtown Houston and were all asleep at 7 p.m. I woke up with a transaction that was occurring at the time. I am repeatedly able to demonstrate that remotely generated directed energy applied to and targeting my heart chakra results in outcomes in other places impacting other people. This has been happening to me that I have been conscious of since at least late fall of 2009. What if someone like me and or others who were cybernetically enhanced were to be able to present a case before the Supreme Court concerning the use of electronic devices in order to command performance of our vehicle without our consent and without an appropriate license? What if I and others who were used in the processes of genetic testing involving ostensibly altering our brain chemistry to correct chemical imbalances connected to behavioral assessments that we were mentally ill, were to challenge in court that our DNA was actually used in the collection of biological materials that were sold or distributed in order to genetically engineer efficient humans? Or what about how the use of cameras in the public and the use of biometric accounts were connected to acts of genetic engineering? Or how these technologies that formulate the digital economy are responsible for sex crimes and for literally torturing people in an effort to program neural pathways for commercial purposes. I believe that those two cases would be primary case references for such things, and not just from a privacy standpoint, as there were other principles that were brought forth in his dissent in Maryland versus King at least.